So what I figured we would do is, there comes Paul. So this prioritization of projects, I figured that that's what we would work on, is prioritizing what projects for this year and maybe some next year.
For about that.
Okay, so we'll talk fast. Okay,
I'm just,
okay,
if I need to read. just so
okay.
you-
All right, because what I thought we would do is talk about the fact that I want to add, I think we'll talk about D and E first. And then get to the, we'll say C for last. D and E first. Paul, I got these two things I brought for you. This is today's paper. Article that was so long. Yeah, and then I had a Zoom call today, 2-hour Zoom call, talking about legislative updates, and this is the thing we talked about the most. And I highlighted in red. These are things that were brand new, and then I highlighted later in here where they are. And it's brand new subdivision. So we have until December 31st of next year to make our codes match that state code. That's what they said. Okay. Okay, so I guess I have to call the meeting to order. So I'm calling the meeting to order. Okay. As you can see, we had here this design. I will get back to the minutes in a meeting. I want to talk about these first, but we can dispose of some of these fairly quickly. Okay. And after we got our capital improvement suggestions from everybody in town, and we had that first meeting where we went through everything. And ever since then, I mean, we went over and looked at this in what's going on at the intersection there of Pocketville Road and 165. And the stuff is really washing out. And I think this is one of the top priorities, is to get this fixed.
Okay.
And I don't have a clue what this is gonna cost, but these are Carl's plans. He has his plans here as to what we should do. But where it's really washing out is at this road 320 East, right there where he has that pipe drawn that he's gonna do some drainage. That right there is where things are really washing away. And then, so on the one side, there's a tiny little drain that looks like it's about this big around, and it's got concrete on it. And then it goes underneath the road, and then where it comes out on the other side is totally washing out the side of the road there and everything. I know, April, you told me you went and looked at several things, so had you looked at this one when you went around and looked at some of the projects?
So is this the one we have all the pictures on?
Yes, we have
Oh,
pictures. Yes.
I did look at that.
And I have not been over to look at it like in the past couple of weeks, but I'm betting with all the recent rains, it's even worse than it was before.
Okay.
I
I haven't
haven't
been
been
up there since,
So as we go, so the reason I kind of want to talk to this first, about this one first, is since we're gonna go and talk about
These
prior,
pictures.
yes.
okay.
Since we're going to go and prioritize things later on, I just feel like this one is, oh, here, let me show you what we're talking about. Quiet.
Maybe you missed a lot.
This was, Stacy Croft had submitted this, and if you remember, there were these pictures that were showing what was happening. And, so this here is one project. That is, if you look at the map, that is this. And these two pictures here is this.
Okay.
Okay, so the engineer went over and looked, and he said, these are two separate projects, two separate drainage issues, and that they had to be handled separately. So he gave us the drawing today of what his plan is on how to fix that, and this one is this.
Okay.
You wrote the big,
What?
I live there.
I know, I don't have to tell you, you live there, you know
But-
exactly. where-
Whatever you do there will probably affect my rent.
Yes,
Is he suggesting that we keep this culvert in and then just add these head walls? I'm not.
I think that's what it is.
Cause he's not saying that's an existing pipe on his map, and then this one is this existing 6-inch.
Yes, but I'm assuming that we need to replace that.
Or extend it, yeah, it looks terrible. I mean,
it looks
it's
really
probably
bad,
not deep enough and it's probably.
because he has here,
That's the outlets, the depth. I mean, matter on the outlet, although the inlet comes in at the depth matter.
well, where it's
Across
come,
the road though.
where it comes out on the other side of the road, where it was gonna drop down into this drainage ditch, where it stops, it's just washing away everything. It's a big mess.
So it's not, is it washing under the pipe?
Yeah.
That's
And
different.
so I'm not sure here where he has installed new 24-inch pipe. I'm not sure, remove existing 12-inch pipe, install new 24-inch. That must be,
That's on that one.
that's on the other one.
That's the small one. That's the one that comes across through 20.
Because it sure seems to me this existing 6-inch pipe should be replaced, but we'll have to talk to Carl, maybe talk to Carl some more on that. I'm not sure I understand his plan.
Well, yeah, look at it's, yeah, we need to talk to him about it because this is the picture. I mean, it's not even really being supported by anything
No,
and it's broken on the end. And that whole support system is collapsing, so.
correct. And I asked about, who had put this in, and, he thought that Bill Baker, he thought that Bill had probably just put it in himself. But when you look at it, I think that's a town responsibility to fix that. I don't think,
all Bill did was stack rocks around it trying to.
well, somebody put that pipe in and put some concrete on the other side of the road where the water starts in and then goes through that pipe that comes out.
About from Fourplex down or from Baker's down?
Bakers, from the Bakers down, there's this little,
Yeah, a little pipe.
there's a little hole in the ground that's got some concrete around it, and that's where the water goes in, and then it comes out on the other side into that drainage ditch. And it's just, it's not good enough. I think it just is not good enough to handle that drainage.
So if he's saying to replace this culvert? He says install.
I think
Well, this-
that's
culvert.
bigger than 12 inch. I would-
He's,
He's asking for a 24-inch install.
yes, what happens if you look at the picture with the big drain,
Yes.
the big one? It's a 24-inch drain, I believe, that's coming out. And then it drops into, on this side, so over here, you've got a 24-inch pipe
Mhm.
next to Merced's house.
Mhm.
And then there's a bunch of rocks here, and the water drains into there, and then there's a little 12-inch pipe that then runs under the road and drains out over here. And we're like this, so you've got a big drain
Mhm.
connected to a small
Mhm.
pipe. And so it's like, this is going to cause problems, and so he feels that we should. have a
Why is it a town issue? Because that was always like a settling bond until.
I know, until he built there, but he got a building permit.
But it's still mapped. Debris flow all the way down.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, we gave him a building permit. And we should not turn around, in my opinion, it's not the towns to turn around and say, well, you built a house there, you fixed the problem. We gave him a building permit, we should have known there was gonna be a problem before he was issued his building permit. That's my thought. What do you guys think?
Well, I can't say because I don't really know the history of what happened, so.
Yeah, I know doing that, he's still gonna have drainage issues
From the way he built the pipe, the way he built the house
for the whole.
and rerouted the
Everything
drainage.
drains right there. I mean,
That-
if you look at his backyard right now, it's,
I saw it standing in water.
I mean, this won't solve that.
I agree, it won't solve that. but it will solve if the water drains into that small hole that's lined with rocks. And then there's a smaller pipe on the other side. At least it will keep that from overflowing and getting backed up and overflowing.
Yeah.
But the other issue, which is coming up from the Clark's house and coming down Pocketville Road and then curving over and then coming out. The building of the house is what has, in my opinion, has ruined what was there, because that had been a drainage area for a long time. It was just a pond, that's where the water collected. And now someone filled it in and built a house there.
So this is what I have to say about that.
Okay,
I think there's a lot of drainage issues up here in this whole area. And so it may be worthwhile to fix this immediately, because looks like it's about to collapse. But I think overall, we should consider funding a drainage study for the entire town, or at least the area surrounding Cape and B Estates, Sarabella, and the Virgin Wash all the way into town.
okay. At one point, we had received a grant to do a study like that. And this was happening right when they fired Chris. We were awarded the grant, and you can go back and look at the file. We were awarded the grant in June. Chris was fired over Labor Day weekend, and then a week later, there was a letter from the granting agency saying, we have one question, answer this for us, and then we'll release the funds. And there was no response because nobody was checking Chris's email. And so then I get sworn in, and the day I got sworn in, I got a letter that said, well, nobody responded, so we've canceled your grant. And we've applied for a grant again, and we're denied. And so, Rod Mills contacted me recently and said, hey, I think I can get you the stormwater grant. And so he's pursuing that, trying to get us the funds again. And I said, go for it.
Well,
So we're trying.
that would be good. I remember we talked last meeting about that there may be a stormwater management grant due by county in 2020.
Yes, that's
what
what
you're
yes,
talking about.
yeah, CIB and everything.
Just going in this area and looking all through town, and I went and visited more areas that were on, besides what was just on the request forms, is I would rather that I don't see us do little piecemeal projects to try to correct these issues, because I think what we need to do is actually have a study that can help mitigate all of these problems in a way that we're not going to solve one problem and create another problem. And
Okay,
that would be my preference.
Yeah, if you force more water onto me, then I've got a problem.
so my question is, if we, let's say Rod gets the grant, and they award it to us, it's gonna be either toward the end of this year or into next year before the grant, before the study actually gets done.
Right.
And so I'm just concerned that we can't let this sit here for that long. So we can discuss a little more about when we might want to do something about this, but what's your feeling? You live over there, Randy.
Well, if they're my neighbors, I'd like to take care of them. But there are utilities, and there are, obviously that road, you have water and you have irrigation in there. So they're gonna have to be accounted for when they do it.
It won't be a little job.
It won't be a little job, okay. So what I mean is, when I ask, what do you think? When April was proposing that we get a grant, do a study, do all of this as a bigger project.
I'm
what I'm
afraid this
asking
will
is,
be just temporary, and then they're gonna say you need to do something.
but what I'm asking is, do you think we can wait that long to fix this problem over there by you? Can we wait, say, a year, another year?
I think we could wait a year. I don't think we could wait 3.
Okay. All right.
Could we possibly just get, I mean, not based on this drawing, because it's not very comprehensive, But could we maybe just get like a cost and see what it would cost and then maybe take another look at it?
Is there a way to put a reducer on it and run the one into the smaller pipe for now?
And just eliminating that, so according to his drawing, he doesn't want to eliminate
The 6 inch.
so shows an existing 24 foot or 24 inch pipe. coming
Yeah, that's
in.
brand new, that got put in
Okay,
this year.
so he doesn't have it connecting to that, so there's gonna be a settling pond or of some sorts there regardless, according to this drawing.
Yeah,
So you could,
well, I'm just saying,
That's
if
not-
it did it just a temporary fix, reduced it,
that's not
and
good.
then it wouldn't wash out the road as much.
Yeah,
It might back up,
I have to go look at it, back up, so. I have to go look at
and
it.
it would back up all the way to.
Is this the inlet side?
Yeah.
So they laid rocks from his pipe to this pipe, make it stream in.
Hey, Dan. Yes, there's. The other 12 inch pipe is
Yeah.
hidden behind these rocks right over the side.
So this is where his comes out, and that's where the other ones.
Stop. Yes.
Maybe we should take a field trip up here.
The issue with reducing it down is it'll just back up the pipe.
It'll back up all the way to the bottom, well, Stewart's, right?
And then it doesn't take any of the drainage off the road or anywhere right along there, so it's gonna wash the road like anything.
Okay.
I don't live up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna ask Carl, we're gonna try to get a cost to have this done. We're gonna ask Carl for a more detailed drawing of exactly what he wants.
I would,
I
So
will
this-
try to get an assessment of the cost.
This drawing's like, it's not.
Yeah, it's not gonna,
It's
it's
not,
not.
no, it is, like, it's a simple job, but this is gonna be some work. Like, we could get a bid off of that.
Then you're gonna have,
Okay,
Cause it has all your, it has your depths and everything. It's fine.
you'll have 3 houses not able to exit.
Right,
okay,
well, he doesn't really have a design
you'll
on,
have to,
head walls or anything like that.
well, yes. Kind of.
but we think
It
this,
doesn't have a like a comprehensive design, but most your concrete guys don't, but at least
But
the
it-
ones we use.
so we can do a field trip over there, but in the meantime, we feel that this, at the very most, this could be a year. This could wait a year at the most.
I would go much longer than that, but a year.
We're talking about this right there by you. When you go up the road towards your house, we're talking about the 2 drainage issues right there. And we were just reassessing whether or not this could wait 1 year. At the most.
Honestly, it depends on how much runoff now comes from the house on the corner.
Yeah,
He's running all his,
how many drainage on there, flash floods we get.
Okay,
It shouldn't really have any more drainage than it had previously, look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it used to be spread out.
Right, but it still had to go under the road at the same point.
but there wasn't much coming off there at all, there is now. But
But
there
there's the grass and hills and stuff.
and off the roof.
Right.
are these new since the first time we had a meeting? These 3 that you have in our folder, these are new ones, okay,
So
so,
you guys don't have copies, I put them in the folders, in the main folder where all the rest of them are on the online SharePoint, but I printed you guys off all copies.
okay.
And I sent my email.
Okay, because Rich Merced is also asking us to do something, if you notice, he's asking us to place a catch basin around the grate that catches the rainwater about a 1/4 mile up Pocketville Road from his house. So, as you said, the whole thing is it's a whole big interrelated system with the
Well,
drainage there.
As I was, yes, as I was going through all of the requests, and then I did a trip to look at all of this area, and it comes from the north side of SR9 all the way down in town, basically.
Oh, for sure,
So that whole drainage with all the problems associated with that area and all the way into town really needs a close study.
Okay,
So we can have projects that aren't just like fix this one here and then maybe fix that one.
okay,
Kind of a comprehensive drainage fix.
okay.
But I think we should get a bid and then take a look. We can decide.
Okay.
I mean, it might be more money than we
have available.
right budget. at this point.
Okay, well, I will follow up with Ron Mills and see what the status is on, the stormwater management plan that he was applying for a grant.
Okay.
But, Wyatt, you said you thought that this plan had enough information on it that we could at least get a bid,
Yeah, you can get it like that, like a pretty,
a rough
Close.
estimate?
yeah,
Okay.
pretty close number of what it's gonna cost, depending on what kind of catch basin you put there. Other than that, it's pretty simple.
And it might be that this, now that Rich Merced has, made a request, submitted a capital project request form that asking for something to be done with the drainage that feeds into this,
Mhm.
then we'll have to put both of those together.
And that's what I noticed, a lot of people were putting in requests for these storm drain management issues. And they're all sort of connected, really, because as the drainage is coming off that hill and coming down into that BLM property and then Peterson and down into this area, it's all, you know, there were a lot of requests for projects.
Yeah.
In that area.
Okay, so the only other thing I want to talk about is, D, I have add paving of 310 West to the list. I realized the other day that I guess what I should have done is just filled out a capital submission form myself, which I'll put that here. I'll fill out a form, but even as much as a year, at least a year ago, the people on 310 West, that's right next to Weeping Buffalo, that's Michael Lau, who does the metal work and has the thing that sells the jelly.
Mhm.
And then right behind him is the Dome House.
Mhm.
And there's a tiny little road right there, 310 West. And that is an unpaved road, and they have asked for years to have that paved. And I realized the other day that that should have been included in all our list of projects to do road projects. So I just made a note here that I wanted you guys to know I'm gonna add that to our list of roads that need to be paved.
So didn't someone put a request in on a road, near that? They said something about Weeping Buffalo and
You think maybe it's already in here?
I don't.
I did not remember seeing it. These are all roads.
Oh, this is different, isn't it?
Which one?
Galanta?
Oh, the Galatas, Ray Galata.
They
Yeah,
wanted to finish the cul-de-sac at the end of 50 South Heavy Equipment. To benefit the glamping west of Weeping Buffalo and
yeah,
something cost deep running, so that's not the same.
no, that's not at all. 50 South
Okay.
goes over and it dead ends right where all the, wagons, where the wagons presently are, and the
Okay.
teepees and all that. His road runs right into that and it's falling apart.
Right.
So that's what that is.
Different.
So 310 is a different road, and I realize it's not on our list of things that need to be paved, and it needs to be paved.
So it's a gravel.
It's gravel right now. Oh, I think we need some lights on. We were fine until the sun.
Do we have any money in the road fund for paving projects?
I've had a couple of these requests already. I had Chase go ahead and take care of a couple of them, because all they were asking for was some road base or some more gravel.
Mhm.
And I went ahead and had them just go take care of it.
And that was in these requests.
That was in these requests, and so I will fill out, I'm planning to fill out a spreadsheet laying all these and showing which ones have already been done.
Okay,
But we did the one that runs right next to the cemetery, that's right next to Chuck and Carolyn Maxwell's house. It goes right beside the cemetery.
okay,
And that road had been damaged during all the construction, so I had Chase just go ahead and put some road base down, and so that one's already taken care of. And then there was one other one, I'll have to go through here and find it, one other one that was a very easy fix.
okay,
That I had him take care of. And, the rest of this we'll have to figure out the prioritization as, Paul has made clear to me, the whole point of this capital improvements committee is to come up with a 5-year capital improvements list. Plan, and so that's what we have to do with this, is to come up with a 5-year capital improvements list. And that's why I was asking if this thing, how long could this wait?
right,
Because if we're waiting for a stormwater management plan and then to get a grant, it's gonna take probably a year.
mhm,
And that's why I was asking, can this wait a year or no?
okay.
Okay. And then there's one other thing that I'd asked Danny to come tonight if he could, and he could, because here he is. And he was concerned about this. He and Stacy are the ones who had submitted the form about this. But you had another thing that you were concerned about this same road, which is 165 north. Once you pass 320 and then it goes up the hill toward your house. You were talking about you mentioned when you came in the office the other day that you were concerned about something that's on the north side of this road, right there in front of the Labatt's house,
Yeah.
that you were concerned. So explain to everyone what your concern is.
And well, the main water line that goes up to our house runs, the 8-inch line runs right up next to the road right there. And we had it covered and people weren't driving over it, but them doing the construction on the Bat's house and whatnot, they started cutting that corner. And now they're driving right over the exposed. Now, it's not, the pipe's not exposed, but it's not very deep. I'm concerned that, a propane truck drives over there or another, one of these days they're gonna fall. They're gonna break it. It would really be a matter of just getting somebody up there with some, probably just covered with some more asphalt or something to spread the weight out. But right now, anything goes over, it's just right on top of it.
So that's another thing to go look at. And it's just, and it is,
shouldn't be too difficult, I don't
and
think.
what he's talking about is just right here.
So is that a, what size water line is that?
An 8-inch, it's an 8-inch.
So we're talking right here.
It's like a fire hydrant.
These two,
It's not,
Like right here on
it should be,
me and Joe Hobbs put it in,
well,
so, I don't know.
code is too.
It's right, like right up, you go over well, it's right up that first little hill, right at the top on the left.
Okay,
It's like,
You know, it's got few big rocks.
so you're saying that it was, the construction was done properly, but some erosion or some, the road has fallen away or.
yeah, with all the trucks driving, they've broken all the rock and cement stuff that we had there. And through the years, we tried to put stuff on there to get people to stop driving on it,
Mm.
but they don't.
and you also indicated that you would like to have the road repaved from here all the way up to where it curves to go to your house. After that point, it's your guys' responsibility, but you wanted to see about if we could repave this, correct?
Yeah, this all needs to be like chip sealed and resurfaced. But this is that section, so Holbrook's gonna come up and give us a bid next Tuesday
Okay,
for our section.
Okay.
And I'll have him, if you end up giving this part back to us, then we'll take care of all the way, down to the back anyway.
all right.
But, yeah.
That's a private road.
We haven't called
Is that a private road?
them. Yeah.
165.
Needs to be chip sealed. Okay. Yeah, I'll call him back. I did it myself a few years ago.
Okay, so 165, which is this street that comes off of Pocket Hill Road, is not a private street, it's a public street. You go up the road, and then as you go up the hill, the road curves, turns, and goes up to Danny and Stacy's house. Where it turns, from that point on up the hill, is their private road.
Oh, I
But
see.
165 goes up to that point, and that's a public road.
So you're getting a bid on your
Is,
private road and then you're going to see about price.
And then, this thing like that sits like right here, this is that little bump up. So this right here is where the road's deteriorated, broken off, and, you know, the pipe goes up right there.
Okay.
And right up here where the road turns, there's a section that's, of asphalt that's broke off too now, it's about probably 2 feet wide. And I don't know if that's really ours or your end.
but we have that.
Over look at, because I don't know exactly what the line is right there, but that's, in fact, one of the kids actually caught his tire on that. So I've been trying to fill it full of gravel and keeping stuff, but everybody keeps cutting the corners and including my place.
By the way, one of these copies was for you to take with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Does that make sense?
yes,
Yeah, I would say the water line is a pretty, important
to be
thing
looked at.
to look at, and I'm not sure if just putting some little gravel, it'll just probably.
No, I mean, boulders
Boulders.
along the edge of the roads.
So people so this whole first section right here, if you look at it, the road is all broke up, like it's asphalt's breaking up pretty bad,
Mhm.
and that's just. In years, it's been there 20 years.
So that's the nature of it.
Nature that, well, been probably close to 30 years.
Okay, so I actually have two capital improvement submission request forms that need to be filled out. One for what we just talked about, the water pipe and the paving of that road, and then also the paving of 310. So I need to fill out forms to include in our whole packet of all the stuff that we have.
So while you're getting a bid on your project, can we ask him to get a bid
For the paving of the whole thing,
paving of the other section?
and they can,
While they're there.
I don't see
Do we
why.
need paving, or would it be like an overlay, or are you talking about?
Honestly, I don't know what they're gonna say on that.
Mhm.
First section, if they're gonna say it needs to be removed and redone,
Mhm.
or if they can just reseal it all, it's pretty broke up.
Pretty old, not probably maintained very well.
No, it hasn't been maintained, I don't think ever. So,
Ever since it was done in the first place. Okay. All right, so we have everything we need from you, so if you want to stay, you can stay. If you don't want to stay, you don't have to. Because- Okay,
Projects are going on.
all the different projects. So, how close are you on time, Wyatt?
Pretty close.
Okay, so I don't suppose you had a chance to review the minutes of the previous meeting?
The first one I did not.
Okay, did you have any changes on that one? Okay,
I
so
was
you
not
looked at the
present- I was not present.
February, that's true, so you wouldn't be able to review them out. So as long as, by the way, Crystal, the way you have this draft minuets instead of
Oh,
draft
yes,
minutes,
I know.
you
It is,
do
I do
that
all the
all
time.
the time.
I know. It
Okay,
is every time, I don't know why, when I type that word, it does it, and I have to go back and fix it every
Okay.
time.
I
just
laugh.
did it on this, and I fixed it.
I laugh every time, because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter when we have minutes, they're minuets.
Minuets. I don't know what it is, but don't you have that one word that you just always go wrong and you go,
Okay, so you had no changes, so Wyatt had no changes on this one, and he was not present at the second meeting. Have either of you two reviewed the minutes? and had a look at them? Do you have any changes?
I would say though that this, date on the meeting today was not,
The April,
yeah, April 4th
instead of April 5th,
instead of April.
it does say April 4th.
I can't get my days straight.
All right, so shall we just go ahead and approve the minutes from the December 15th and the February 3rd capital improvements committee meetings?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So that is done. We've talked about, so we've done A, B, D, and E. So the only thing left is for us to discuss prioritization of all the rest of the projects. So if you have reached the time where you need to go, go ahead. And we will talk, we'll let you know next. I'm sorry, what?
Can I take 2 minutes?
Yes. Before my. Okay.
The mayor mentioned, I'll just hand this out, it's from the policy, so you've probably seen it. The most important page is probably page 14, which is on the backside of 13. And as the mayor said, the whole purpose of the CIP policy is to get you to that 5-year plan with the priorities be year 1 and then through year 5 and then unlisted. The process that you're at now, we're a little bit behind what the policy considered, but we had that point before, we were behind from the beginning, that's all right.
We're getting there.
It's however you want to get there. And if you need to cut corners this year, cut corners. It's just all up to you on how you want to process it. It's a process to put into place to get you to that final outcome of your plan. To fill out that 1 page for your project.
Okay, so
I just wanted to give you those forms.
before he walks out, so it looks like as we are figuring out what is year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, we're also indicating where the money's gonna come from. Which fund of it. Okay, all right, Wyatt is excused, and we will see you next time. Thanks, we were.
Do we know when the next meeting will be?
No, but we'll figure that out at the end tonight before we end. We'll figure out when we're gonna do the next meeting. So one thing that we did not have in this list, and I didn't think about it till I've been working getting bids for the work that's gonna be done on the town hall. And I was going back through the grant paperwork and the very first announcement. And I have here the email that came out where they said, here's this grant opportunity. And here's what the requirements are. And it says, you know, this is a capital improvement project. And I went, oh, I didn't put this on any of the capital improvement project. It's not listed here. We need to list it, even though it's being done this year and will be finished. It still is a capital improvement project that I think should be listed on what we're doing. And so we're getting a new roof and replacing the heating and air conditioning in the town hall. And it will be done by the end of June. So it's questionable as to whether or not it's not really going on this 5-year list, but somehow it needs to be noted that we did this capital improvement. And so,
It'll go on the list once we finally get that prepared.
okay, that's true. That's where we go.
But that's a good example. If we were a year out, you put that in year 1 with all the costs, so.
Right.
But for next fiscal years,
This is gonna be done, yeah, because one of
it's
the.
gonna be done by that.
Yes, one of the requirements, when we got this notice, we had 2 weeks to apply for this grant. And we had to get papers and estimates and costs on everything and make up some sob story as to why we needed a grant to do all this. And you had to swear that the money would be spent by June 30th, by the end of the fiscal year. I'm like, we can do that, we can do that. And so, right now, the heating and air conditioning in the building is only on the downstairs, and even then, it's only in the room where Crystal sits. And there's not even heating and air conditioning. When you go around the corner in the hallway, it's cold in there. There's no heating or air conditioning in there, just that one room.
And just know it makes you sick when it blows.
And so we are getting all of that removed as part of this. We're having everything taken out And we're having new HVAC put in both upstairs and downstairs, and that's part of also what's covered under that grant. So we're getting a new roof and heating and air conditioning throughout the entire.
That's a complete grant.
The grant only covered part of it. We got a $50,000 grant, and we had budgeted 25,000 to be spent this year for a total of 75, but it turns out the roof is more extensive. And it's going to cost us, the two together, roof and air conditioning, actually is gonna come to 93,000. So we're gonna have some more budget. The town council's gonna have to increase the budget to cover
Is
that.
this gonna be
$20,000 more dollars.
or electric? For the air conditioning?
It's gonna be electric. It's gonna be those mini splits. That's what we're putting in.
And they looked at, make sure you have enough power to run.
I did not ask if they did that.
Yeah, they did.
They
They
did.
looked on the back area and they said they can all be ran on that,
On what we have, okay.
because they don't take a lot of power.
Just do I have?
So, we will have, so it's gonna need another 18, is that what it is? 18,000, another 18,000 for that.
It's because of the trusses.
It's the roof. The roof is the damage of what has to be replaced is so much more extensive.
And
Than,
that comes out of general fund or?
yeah, it's gonna come out of that and, when we got the bids, we only had 2 weeks to get estimates from people to get, and so we had 3 roofers come out. And what they thought we were doing is just removing what's there, putting up new stuff. They didn't realize the entire thing has to be replaced.
Oh.
And when we got the grant, and then we were ready to actually start the bid process, the real bid process. And they went up in there and they're like, oh. Great. So I just.
We can list, I think that's going to list that on the capital improvements.
Fine, we put it here wrong.
Yeah, completed, done.
Yeah, that looks good.
But yes, so it's gonna, so some of it will come from general.
There might be some bleed over of funding into the next fiscal year.
Mhm.
So if you have that, you might as well put it on there with an estimate of what that bleed over is.
And it would be that extra 18,000.
Yeah. and
Because
so
we
that'd
we
be
funded
year-
everything else.
Yeah, so that'd be year one is to finalize the town hall roofing project and where the funding is coming from.
So the way this is, so I wrote finalized town hall on this. So under year one,
I got, it should be, yeah, year one, it should be FY 24.
yes, but, so I wrote finalized town hall, and then year one, you want the money? That's what
Yeah.
we're supposed to write there is the amount of money.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna say 20 instead of 18, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say 20.
And
I
that
gotta
would
be
be
on the safe side.
24.
That
yeah,
would be
yeah,
fiscal year.
because the policy was written for last year, I haven't adjusted for the on the form.
Okay, so the rest of what I wanted to do is for us to figure out, so I think we figured. We're gonna try to get a stormwater for under. Oh, some of what this is roads and some is water. For what's talked about here. Of 165,
Right.
some of it's roads, some of it's water, okay. There's gonna be between 2 different funds. Okay, so I don't know that when we went through this the first time that we had actually tried to come up with any sort of prioritization. We just went through them, we sorted them into groups of what's roads, what's water, what's parks, what's something else. And made notes on what we thought needed to be done, or what was a project that was asking us to do something on a road that's not a town road. We just kind of made notes like that, but we did not go through and say, what is priority over a 5-year period of time?
So I went through and rated everything.
Okay,
So I kept them in the, I kept them under the, titles flood control, water system, roads. And itemized them that way, so the first thing under flood control, I looked at, gave a rating of 17 for drainage study
What
plan.
does a rating of 17 tell us?
So what that tells us is based on our PS here, which is out from what Paul put together.
Oh, okay.
So I said, well, and also in this drainage study plan, we could possibly request an updated flood map of the area, because the only flood map I could find is from 2009.
That's being worked on as we speak.
It's being worked on, right. We both sat in a meeting the other day with floodplain management.
Okay,
And we have a meeting coming up next week.
Mhm.
Next week, we have a Zoom call with the county. What the people that came last week were 2 people from the state office, floodplain management.
Floodplain management.
And then they had the director, the representative, the director, whatever, for this whole region from FEMA. And he flew out from Denver and was here because they were covering Washington County, and they were going to every municipality in Washington County. And so they came and saw us, and then next week, we have a meeting scheduled with the Washington County,
She's still state of Utah, Jamie Huff.
Jamie Huff, yes. we have a
Still
meeting
state
with
of
her.
Utah.
Oh, so it's still the states, not the
State of
county.
Utah. She's in
Okay.
charge of redoing the maps.
great, okay, well, then,
But
So you're gonna have an updated map?
the maps could be another year away.
that's fine. So what
Yes,
I did, so I just added that to the drainage study and plans, but that we can take that off. And then what I did was I rated a drainage study and plan. Safety, I gave it 5, consistency 3, level of service 3, coordination 4, forecast demand 2, and a total of 17. And I just went off of this criteria and the rating list. Okay. So that was one of my higher levels of.
so the higher the number, the higher
The more
priority.
important, I guess, the higher priority. Then, the next thing I said, we talked about the Rio de Sion storm drain, and I was just wanting to verify that that had gone out for bid.
It was sent out for bid, and I think we got one. I think one company replied with a bid,
Is that?
and I do not remember the amount. I'll have to look. I didn't even think to check that.
Oh, okay, one bid, because that was one of the requests that you had. And so I didn't give that a rating because it's already gone out for bid.
Okay,
All right. And
that
then,
might be something that gets done. If it gets done after June 30th, it'll be on our capital improvements list for next year. We'll be on mark. Done.
okay, so then, going through the notes, I also, wanted to verify that the paperwork had been filed for the BLM right away near Kent and Diane Peterson.
No, it did not get filed.
Okay.
What he said to me was that, he talked with BLM. There's no need for us to really file anything on the right of way. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask him to draft a memo of what it was that he just told me in a phone conversation. And I think I'll ask him to draft a memo for us because we did not need to file the paperwork. They were required to notify us. But he said ultimately their conclusion when he talked to BLM is that we did not need to do that. And that it's when they sell this property, what's going to be included in the documentation is that there is to be a right of way to the town.
Okay.
And that's going to be included in their sale papers.
So I guess the other side of that is, how does that have anything to do, or how will that impact flood control in the area? Will the new owner have to do something about the problems up there, or is that any kind of a requirement?
That's the way a big city.
now, or,
That's how a big city would do it. They'd say it's not the new owner's responsibility to take care of that.
So that would be,
I didn't think so.
that would be my, proposal that we can include some.
So when they come in through subdivision, then that would be part of that subdivision process.
That they would have to take care of any drainage.
Yeah,
Any
because,
flood
you know, they were, yeah, they would have to, if they were gonna build anything or subdivide it. That's one of the things that we look at subdivision.
It's onus is always on the development.
Should be, so if you do a drainage study. And then that would include part of that area,
That helps, because then you know what needs to be done.
But we
right,
could,
so-
but we would attach a copy of the drainage study to whatever when they come in to get a preliminary plat approval
Well, we
and
would
say,
have-
you guys have to do this part of it is on you or what?
Yeah, we've already had the study done,
Uh-huh.
and so they don't have to do it, but that's, everybody that comes in will look at that and say. That's part of the requirements, is
Okay,
depending on what they want to do with the property, you know.
Because whatever they decide to do might change that,
so
study, the plan, because if they're going to, depending on what they're building there, it could impact
They may have to, you know, one of the
another
requirements,
plan.
yeah, one of the requirements that the planning commission can impose on them is to update that study. If we do a study, they can update it with respect to what effect their property will have on that.
so I'll point out this, it's kind of a segue off of our main topic, but I might as well bring it up based on what we're talking about here. This Zoom call I was on today was a legislative update from the ULCT, and we spent probably 1 hour of the 2-hour Zoom call was just on the new code for subdivisions that we have to comply with.
Mhm.
And they just passed this new code regarding subdivisions. And we are now required to create an administrative, I don't have my notes with me. An administrative review, I'll say review board, no, land use authority, administrative land use authority board. And it is not the planning commission, and it cannot be the town council. It has to be a brand new board that we create, and we assign people to this board. And this administrative review board is the one that will approve subdivisions. Not in the planning commission and not in the town council. And it's this new administrative land use authority that is going to be in charge of approving subdivisions and making sure that they comply with our town code. And it's gonna be a public meeting, just like this. And they have to do the Open and Public Meetings Act. They have to comply with all of that. But this is where they're gonna be doing what you were just talking about.
I had forgotten that that's the way they were going.
And that's what they.
When would that begin? When would that?
Towns have to have their ordinances updated to be in compliance. We have until December 31st of next year, 2024. All the bigger towns have until February of next year. We have until December of next year. And we have to go through all our codes and get all our codes redone to comply with this new subdivision rule. And, who knows, by then we may not have any water for any subdivisions to even come in, who knows?
Okay.
All right,
So-
but I just thought I'd let you know that there's gonna be this new board.
So, I didn't rate that item either because I wasn't sure what. was
Because the
going
right
on.
of way could be on the right way.
So, and then, actually Darlene sent in a request form. It didn't get into the earlier packet. I have a copy of it. I guess I'll send it to Crystal so she can
Yeah,
include
I
it.
didn't, there was one that was uploaded online. Well, there was like 6 that she.
6 new ones
No, there was stuff that she sent in an original one.
that Darlene did.
But I haven't gotten anything more recent than that she.
No, this one, yeah, so it didn't show up in our packet. None of hers did. I don't know. Anyway, so I'll just say what it was. It was a culvert on the west loop of Desert Gardens is showing signs of erosion. And I looked at it and I think the town maintenance crew could possibly take a look and repair the problem.
Okay.
So I didn't write that until.
But did she fill out a form like this?
She did,
And you have it?
I do,
Okay.
and I'll send it to you so that you can.
It's
look at
just-
the file.
If you have it with you, I was gonna say, just make a note, like down here, how I did this when we were reviewing this the first time. Like right here under comments, I just put, have public works guys get an estimate.
Okay, I haven't, this mess, I'll find it before I read.
When did we cut off new submissions?
I don't think there's ever a cutoff.
Well, I thought we
It's
did
pretty-
I thought it should have been,
January third.
it should have been that deadline that they had to submit it.
Yes, but can't people keep submitting some
But that-
capital improvement requests as time goes by?
You know, it's up to the committee, you should probably cut it off, but it's up to you whether you want to include them this year or next year. I mean, it's,
So according to what we talked about originally, we were gonna cut them off in January.
We
30th.
started at 5.
it's almost over.
Okay.
And then we would,
you do need to cut it off so you can process.
I know we need a cutoff where we can process, but I guess my thought is, as people come up with ideas, then they should be able to submit them.
Then you submit them for the next,
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, they do it for
Something
next
that
year.
is like more urgent.
And if it's an emergency, then the committee can decide to make a recommendation to the council to amend their capital improvement list.
Okay.
So for example, you end up getting 5-year recommendation to the council, council approves it,
We're not quite.
you get a new,
We have.
you get a new request in, say in July, we've already approved it before the budget and everything else. One comes in and it's something that needs to be done, all right, not a problem. Committee makes a recommendation, hey, council or town council does it. And says, okay, we need to do this right away, we're gonna fund it, we're gonna put it right away as year one, we'll just amend our CIP list.
Okay,
It's supposed to be fluid, so it's not a. It's just a matter how you want to process.
okay, so I think, so even though you went through and you rated these different things that were submitted by everybody, I think for the next meeting, I think what I'm gonna do is, and I'm not sure when our next meeting is gonna be, but I think for the next meeting, what I wanna do is to get from Leroy a list of how much money's in the park funds, the road fund, we see how much money's in the budget for various of these projects that we could do.
Okay,
Because you were asking, I think you asked it a little while ago, if we had some money for road, for some of these road projects. Well, if we ever get the money that we're supposed to be paid for what was done at Observation Estates, that's the share of the town is owed, we'll have some money to do some of these and be able to, have them start work on them if we ever get the money that the town's owed. Yes,
And I put in your, I put on the SharePoint,
A little bit.
impact fees. Where we are with impact fees, and it goes all the way to year 2021, I don't have that one. Yeah, from the state auditor. But I put it in the SharePoint, so you can go in and look at it year by year as to where we are with impact. fees.
so the impact fees get reported to the state as part of the audit every year, each year's audit, okay.
It's not working.
So that's just what your fees have been received? Is that what gets reported to the state as part of this audit? Or the balance of the account? Oh, okay, all right, because I was gonna say, we could be getting here and have all these impact fees coming in, but we need to know what the balance actually is. Because we spend it on projects.
Okay,
Those people. Yeah.
We've been talking about improving this kitchen, Paul. We've been talking about doing some improvements on this kitchen over here. Does that qualify as a capital improvement project or no?
does it have life expectancy of more than 3 years and more than $3,000?
Yeah,
Yeah, then that would be a capital improvement.
Okay, so I need to add that to this, because we were going to upgrade, we talked about upgrading equipment and, making it a commercial kitchen. And so that ultimately would be a capital improvement if we do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I stand corrected, the list from the auditors only impact fees collected, but they do have projected expenditures on it. They don't have the actual expenditures, they have projected expenditures.
And where do they get that information? From the count, from the CPA?
Yeah, the town
Okay.
supplies it to the state auditor,
Okay,
so.
okay. So I'm gonna take a minute and just bring Leroy up to date where we are on the agenda. So what we did, I jumped ahead to talk about adding the paving D. I just went ahead and let everybody know that 310 West, that's the thing that runs, the road that runs beside Michael Lau and down to the Dome House. You know, that it's right next to Weeping Buffalo, that little road that goes down beside the wall. And it's unpaved, and so.
That's one by the cemetery.
No, this is on the south side of Highway 9 as you're approaching Weeping Buffalo. And right there, there's Michael Lau's house, or Law, he says Law. And then behind him is that Dome House, and then there's Weeping Buffalo. And so that road right there is gravel. And I realized that with all the stuff we've talked about, the different roads that need to be done, that never got included on the list of a road that needed to be paving. And then
That road dead ends.
it dead ends, yeah.
Here's what I found.
So you don't have any pricing on that, right?
No, it just needed to be added to the list. And then,
And it is a town road.
yes, it's a town road, it's got a sign there, 310 West and everything. So, then we talked about this Carl had this delivered to my house, maybe 4 o'clock this afternoon. This, is his plans for how to fix the drainage problem. This is Pocket Hill Road right here. This right here, 165 North, this is where Rich Merced is building his house right here. And then you turn, and then you would go up to Danny and Stacy's house up here, and then there's 295, and then Bill Baker's house is over here. And these are the 2 roads, and so we talked about this and what it would take to do the project that Carl has designed here. And we were discussing how long we think it could wait before we needed to get this project done. And that's what we talked about. And now all that's left, and then we approved the minutes in the first 2 meetings. And right now, all we're doing is we're on number C, letter C, which is the prioritization of projects. That's what we're talking about now, is all those projects that were, all the submissions that we received. We're trying to figure out how to prioritize those. And that's what we're talking about now. So April said that she had gone through all of the different submissions we had, and she had gone through and assigned a priority number based on
Basically
a rating based on the information that was provided by Paul when we passed this, created the capital improvements committee and laid it all out. Correct? All that's done? That's where we got it.
That's where.
Yes. Yes.
And that's just, I mean, that's to get you started discussing. So when you come up with the numbers, you're not bound by it, but it gives you some objective material, then they'll key off the discussion of how we want to proceed.
So I have 3 pages of this. I wonder if I should just put it on that SharePoint and have people take a
Review it.
look at it, unless you want me to go through every.
No, I don't want you to go through each one by one. I think we should, I know, Paul, this is taking much longer than you wanted all this to happen, but at least we're talking about it.
I think the only concern is you want it done before you pass the budget. So you take as long as you want. You want that 5-year plan at the same time you do the budget, so you know how much money you're gonna be spending.
We got the budget, the last budget meeting will be on the 11th. So that'll finalize the budget.
We have a meeting between.
Yeah, but before it goes to the council for approval,
But it's gonna go to the council for approval at the May meeting, right?
So-
That's what we're gonna.
ideally, you want your capital improvements plan, 5-year plan. At least for year one, and the whole plan done before you do the budget. Because you wanna know how much you gotta spend
Yeah,
on the project.
yeah, the problem is that we have a time.
Yeah, you got a time crunch there. And so,
And the state requires the budget to be approved.
and so what you can do is. Yeah, ideally, you want it first beforehand, because you want it as a budgeting tool. And obviously, we're not gonna get there this year. So you do it afterwards, then you can do amendments, and then next year you can get on the right track.
Yes, we can get on the right track for next.
I understand what you want to do. My problem is as treasurer, I have to have it.
Yeah,
done
you,
To make sure it gets to the state in time.
Yeah. and we knew when we started this program, we were gonna be behind the eight ball, so.
I just figured we never reached that point, so I'm just going ahead to try to.
Yeah,
get the budget.
so the
And
goal
the
is,
excess and everything.
so what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is the goal next year is, let's get this done, and then next year, get on this right schedule.
Well,
So you have to do,
We don't, even if we rated these and we don't have any price costs, I
yeah,
mean, we could estimate costs, but some of them, I don't know how close we could even get to an estimate.
so, you know, why don't you use this for a goal for next year's budget?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
And,
but
and,
there's still some of these projects that we can.
Still some of these
probably get
projects
done.
we could do.
Yeah, there's some that we
Yeah.
could still get done in year one, and we can just amend the budget
Yeah,
to include those.
For example, we're leaving $200,000 in road improvements.
yeah,
Yeah, and $60,000 for parks. You know, and we could up that when we meet on the 11th.
the plan is supposed to be a budgeting tool, and it's however you want to get to it. And it's just gonna take some time to get it worked into everyday processing of government.
Okay,
So what I'm hearing, you're not gonna get it done by this budget year, but you want it done afterwards.
we would,
But
yes,
that's all.
we can do it afterwards. We're gonna pass the budget in May. We can work on this afterwards. But some of the projects, as we're working on this 5-year plan, I think some of the projects we could probably do this next fiscal year and be able to mark them done. And amend the budget to include them as we,
Yeah. And then you'll have the list for the next 4 years out. You
Yes.
just amend that.
Yeah.
Right.
That works.
and then, we might actually get the, money from observation
I
estates
hope so.
sooner rather than later, because they.
We need to get the lawyer to put some pressure on.
Well, I just sent a letter yesterday that, 2 days ago, I sent a letter that got a response right away. And, they say they're working on it. And so we just might get it.
In the meantime, we need to freeze that development, keep it frozen so they can't issue any permits for anything.
Oh. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay, I haven't thought about that, but we'll talk about that. So,
Well, so then, I went through and looked at some of these projects, like, the security for the existing water tanks. Is that something that we would want to put?
I actually think if you call, there's a guy named Joe Decker with Bertrand Valley Fire, he may have a lead on some money.
for getting better security at the water tanks.
I had rated that 6.
I'm meeting with Joe tomorrow.
Oh, you what?
I just got his name from,
Yeah, I'm meeting with Joe tomorrow, and I'll bring up, security for the water tank on Hill, right?
both of them.
Both of them.
We have a meeting in May with the state. For our application for funds. for the
Oh,
water
you guys have a meeting scheduled?
But right now, you know, with the fire department kind of in flux until they get somebody else new in there. I'm not sure, you probably haven't heard, Tom is on. So I think the expectation is Joel's gonna Joel will run it until they do a request for proposals, is what I'm guessing.
And it's before the end of this month. It was, the effective date was sometime in April.
But he's volunteered to stay on to help assist, it's the last I heard.
Do you want me to put a thing about observation states on this work meeting agenda for us to talk about that? Okay,
So, I mean, if you're gonna prioritize, you know, after my driving around with Rod Mills and then talking with FEMA and those people, they all commented about the bridge to Rio.
do you want me to put something on our work
That-
meeting agenda about?
I think it really needs to be studied out this year. The FEMA and the flood people were not pleased.
It's at 1 o'clock in Rhode Island.
On May 16th,
Well, we didn't have a request for that, so.
yeah, a Zoom call.
Oh, for some reason I thought there was.
I think it's just.
I didn't see it.
I
But
don't
I
have a
mean,
copy of it there.
I've asked Rob for a copy of the application, but they haven't sent it to me yet.
so what are they saying about it?
It's starting to show erosion, your bridge.
Yes, they said that in our,
Yeah,
they said that in our meeting with the floodplain management people in FEMA. The FEMA guy had gotten down there and looked at the bridge, said he felt like it was.
Rod got down and looked at it. I couldn't, at that point, I couldn't run the wall.
Oh, so Rod said he thought it was eroding too? Well, so did the FEMA guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
FEMA guy, that's his name, FEMA guy, because I can't remember his name.
Tom,
yeah, he looked at it a year ago, wasn't it? When he looked at it,
Rod?
no, not Rod, but the state,
Well, they were just here last week and they went and looked at it last week.
again,
Yeah, and he repeated it, said that the one that, when you look at the bridge, he said the post or piling, whatever you wanna call it, that's the closest to the hotel, that's the one that's being eroded away down the river. And that we really need to look at that. So
Is that the town's responsibility?
it's a town bridge
Town owns the bridge.
and the road that goes over the bridge, so, yes.
Oh, that might be pricey.
that's gotta be on our list too.
I just brought it up.
It's a good thing you reminded us. So all these things that are getting,
And there's an example of one that comes in after the fact that you have to take care of right away.
right, because he was, what we were talking about right when you walked in, is whether or not, because we had some new suggestions. We have some more, we got some more suggestions and Crystal had them in our file for us. And so we said, so we were just talking about, when do you cut them off? And I said, well, why should we cut them off? Why can't people just submit all the time? But he just meant for doing our 5-year plan. At some point, you have to say, anything else that comes in after this date, we will consider for the next time.
And we need to look at them to see if they're immediate needs, like the bridge.
Yeah,
The bridge.
geez, I've got a list. I'm starting a list here of all these new things that have to be added to the, you're probably doing it too.
People used to drive.
The list keeps getting bigger.
Bigger and bigger.
The real old timers.
I was here before the bridge,
Yeah,
and they were very,
it's supposed to be down the hills, swinging bridge was
oh,
in that area.
they said whatever you do on one side of the river, that's the other side of the river.
Okay. So you're gonna take your list
The list
there,
that I
you might
put
wanna make
together.
some, add some of your notes there, and then send it to Crystal and have Crystal put it on the capital improvement, the SharePoint.
Okay,
So
Or you
we
can
can,
upload them too. Everybody has access to upload
Okay.
and stuff
I'll
on
just
this.
upload them.
okay. Then you can upload it there and then just let everybody know that there's something been added to our SharePoint folder so that we can go look at it.
Okay.
Otherwise, we won't know it's been added. We don't get an automatic notice that says something was added to share.
So most of the, things I looked at were,
The same side.
there was some specific projects, but it's like the design, the drainage study plan, and then, for parks, for example, I, talked with Paul about the post plan, and so that would be a plan that we could have, a study done, and then we could list all of the items that we want done, separately within that plan.
So you keep calling it PROS when you and I are talking.
Both acronyms have been used. Parks,
What's-
recreation, open space,
Recreation.
and some just say park, open space and trails.
Okay.
I like the post, I like post, I like
Cross
post.
the approved recreation, and so over the years, that post plan has now become a cross plan
Okay,
in most communities.
okay,
But so-
It's
but I
kind of like
think-
the army, you gotta know the acronyms for everything
Uh-huh.
you want.
I did do some specific, so some of it I took and did it as if my perception is we need to do a study, and then we need to itemize those projects under that particular study. For example, the drainage study and plan, and then we itemize those, projects, those individual projects. And then for the parks and, open space and trails, you do a study and then, prioritize your projects under that study.
okay.
So that's kind of how I put this
Are
together.
you sure you don't want to be the chair of the committee? I'm gonna let you run everything because you are so organized.
The things that are going on, like, I didn't know half of the things that you were talking about,
Well,
but, yeah, so,
I was just thinking, you're
Anyway.
so organized and you're so much advanced than I am, that I'm like, are you sure you don't want to be the chair? I'd
I'll
be
just-
happy to let you be the chair.
I'll just double-
No skin off my nose.
and I think I'll add some of the projects that we just talked about. And I'll add it to this, and then I'm just doing ratings, I have no dollar amounts,
Okay, yeah, right, we're not at that point
yeah,
yet.
so.
There's one other thing that, crossed my mind as you were talking about the post plan and how you would rate what projects come up under the post plan. There's one other thing that, I've been working on or thinking about. Let me just say I'm thinking about that. I'm wondering if we do this, if it actually goes on here or it goes on your post plan. We can sign a contract, and I mentioned this to you back a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago, and I've just been thinking about it ever since. But we can sign a contract with UDOT. And we can then maintain that 6-foot right of way all along both sides of the highway. We can it's a landscaping. We can put in sidewalks. We can have a sidewalk going from one end of town to another within that
Highway 9.
highway 9. And so when we sign a contract, we sign this agreement with them, we maintain that the landscaping in that 6-foot right of way from one end of town to the other. And we can landscape it, have a look for the town, and you can work out an agreement with the property owners along there if they want to incorporate their landscaping into what the town plans as landscaping, and then you can have this, whatever we want. Like Weeping Buffalo has already said, oh, sure, we'll work with you on our land, because some of their setback, because they have their setbacks, so there's a 6-foot right of way, and then there's their setback. And so you can work out an agreement with them that they will manage their landscaping to fit in with what we do in the 6-foot right of way. And so Stu's already said he's on board, Weeping Buffalo is on board, and I haven't approached any of the other property owners along the highway. But if we do that, is that something that goes into the post plan? Because we could potentially have what UDOT talked about is that this would slow down traffic through town, because we would do something in the 6-foot right of way on each side of town, on each side of the highway. If we did some landscaping, we had sidewalks, we had, benches, whatever you want to do in that space, from one end of town to the other. It narrows the field as you're coming through town, and it will slow down the traffic. Just by landscaping.
You sure it doesn't give them just another passing lane?
No, you're gonna put landscaping then in a sidewalk. You don't put the sidewalk right next to the highway, you put some landscaping and then a sidewalk.
So
So,
that would definitely, I think, fit into a master plan.
Yes.
Can't you require the big property owners to install a sidewalk? As part of your ordinances?
no,
No?
You could, when they first develop.
yes, it's too late now,
Yeah,
but they want a sidewalk. Most of them want as the developers are coming in, they're wanting a sidewalk because they want the people to walk by their business. And, we're doing this master transportation plan with UDOT. And what I've been told is that if we have this agreement in place and it gets incorporated into the master transportation plan, that we then qualify to get grants from UDOT to pay for the landscaping. But if it's not part of the master transportation plan, we won't qualify for grants. So like,
go for the money.
go for it.
So we need to get someone to design it, so
Yes.
that it looks the same all the way through
Yes.
town.
Right, and so, yes, we need to find a designer who would design the look.
Then we'd have a cost to go to UDOT to get.
Right, but we have to first get in that master transportation plan, and get the
Of
agreement.
course.
They can do it.
Of course, they want us to do that because now they have to upkeep that.
Yes, and well, you can see what they're doing in our town to upkeep that.
But then probably have to hire somebody else to help maintain it.
Well, it would start off as our
Yeah,
public
Yeah.
works. It would start off as the public works guys that would maintain it in the beginning until we see what happens.
You have a pretty basic desert landscape. There's not-
Yeah, my thought is nothing that requires water, no plants. If there's any plants, it better be ones that just are desert type,
Mhm.
because I don't want anything that's gonna take water. And it would definitely have like a desert look, is what I envision, but who knows what the ultimate. Crystal says wagon wheels. She wants wagon wheels installed.
Who
Crystal, she said wagon wheels, make
I
it
took
look.
wagon wheel benches along the,
Yeah, wagon wheel benches.
yeah, the
Okay.
benches, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
So you're thinking of desert landscaping.
for sure. So that rocks, desert plants, but something, you would need a buffer between a sidewalk and the highway.
Mhm.
And so that's where you would have some landscaping and then a sidewalk. And then some benches along the way that people.
And there's
could
some
stop.
desert trees. you could-
And so, anyway, so that is something to, I guess, to add on to this list of projects.
Okay.
But we haven't signed the agreement yet. I've just been thinking about it, and the more I've thought about it and kind of talked to a couple of business owners, they're like, hey, that'd be a great idea. Okay, all right. So as you said, the list gets longer and longer and longer, the more we talk. It's like, oh my gosh, more projects. I'm sure you can come up with some too, as you. So, anyway.
So I did have a question about the water tank. I know it was.
Which one? East, the
The
one,
new
the new one. Okay.
one.
Leroy should maybe be able to answer that for you.
So you requested it based on the impact fee study in your
Requested what?
He,
I included the water tower and suggestion was these impact fees along with grant money. That just was a suggestion because I know Leroy has had that, we've had that water tank. The new water tower,
Water tank.
water tank
so,
in the process for a number of years.
let's see.
I just.
This was the one that
Is that five, okay. So from the impact fee study, there was an additional 500,000 gallon concrete water tank. Okay, and you had put that on your, submission form. And it showed in here that that water tank is required basically because of,
Okay.
build out conditions. Right, so that would be 5,557 residential equivalent connection. And so, I guess my question on that was, it showed as high priority on the capital improvement list for 2018. But because it's based on build out calculation, I wonder if, you know, it's required in the next 5-year plan. We're not going to get to 5,500. You also said.
The need for a new water tower is to give that site
Pressure.
town the pressure. they
Water
need.
pressure.
Otherwise, they all have to put sprinkler systems in, and it reduces their ability in that part of town. And and plus it increases our ability to.
Store water.
Yeah, to store water. You know, you can have 500,000 more gallons of water than we have now.
So, and then, so I had a note from the last meeting to wait until March for grant and loan information.
Well, that's what Leroy was just saying, is they have a meeting set for May 16th. To talk with the state is this to get funding? This is to get funding, to see if we can get funding.
For it.
Yeah, for the work.
And the engineers estimated as the cost will come in at 1.6 to 1.8 million. And that's up from an original 4 years ago, it was 1.2.
Right.
That's for the same tank.
Mhm.
And what delayed it was the environmental study. It took BLM 2 years to approve it after we had done the environmental study.
Because there were some people that objected, and when they had public comments, some people objected, they had to go back and reassess. And so
And they had a change in management during that time too, which slowed it down.
So you suppose that would be in a 5-year plan?
I would think so. Surely
Yeah,
within 5 years, we would have
within
been
5.
started.
Okay,
If we get approval, we'd look, construction would start next summer.
okay,
Yeah, we should be able to, if we get approval, we should be able to start before the end of 2023.
In fact, we have to start within, I can't remember the period of time. That's why we lost the funding last time. Because we couldn't start because we were delayed by the BLM.
okay.
And I think it's 6, maybe it's 12 months after the approval.
So we have to have gotten started or
We have to
else.
start.
Okay.
So I'll just post this to the uploaded and then everyone can look at it. And I mean, I think it's a good starting place. You can comment. A lot of these things I may be completely off base on, but there might be kind of a guideline to
Okay,
everybody to kind of take a look and see what they want to add, or if they want to those other projects that we talked about and actually give them more higher priorities or whatever that,
Real quick, while I have you guys here, just word for thought, Stacy and I were in this building the other day, and we both had some earthquakes or something that been happening. You look right there above on this wall.
oh yeah, there's a crack
And then right here on the back wall, there's massive cracks.
on the back wall.
On the back 2 panels of the sidewall here, right above that second last panel.
I don't see it. From what my name.
Yeah.
Earthquake or itself?
Well, they've had an earthquake because we lost so much stuff off my desk, and there's things that fell off in the shelf in the building up here in our town office that Chase picked up, so he said, we might have had an earthquake.
Or is it the boom on?
I don't know, but
I've never had the boom up there.
we just noticed this one and then that one right there.
That's what, those are settling. Typically, you have a crack from the corner or window like that goes in.
Then that's
That's settling, that's settling crack.
Since we're talking earthquake, have you done a retrofit study for
this building or for that, for the town hall?
that?
I've been in it.
Do you-
When there was a
Same study for the town hall?
I didn't call through enough first.
Okay. Take your word for
Safer.
it.
Hey, I've been in the town hall since earthquake and
Man, that last little one. Water bill, whatever, that's about like a crack.
Okay,
I have a couple other just quick. So do we have a sort of a updated infrastructure plan that shows like pipelines that we have and that have been completed or
No.
redlined or, I mean, because I noticed when
That's
we were
fine.
talking.
I can't hear.
okay, speak louder.
My question is, do we have any updated plans of infrastructure, like pipelines that we've repaired or new pipelines? When we were talking last meeting, you were talking about these 8-inch lines that we had put in recently, and I'm just wondering if we have any kind of plans that show the work that we've done, so we can keep updated on that.
Well, I will tell you this, right now, Monica's, assignment is there's one entire filing cabinet in the file room that is water. And I was looking for something in there and could not believe how out of order and disorganized everything was. I was shocked. It was like, oh my gosh. And so Monica's assignment right now is going through everything in that file cabinet and organizing it. We found some files that are related to pipes. And what is there's just no rhyme or reason as to the files being in the order that they're in. And so we found a couple of files that are gonna tell us some stuff about the pipes. Are you okay?
I just have to stretch it every so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the only thing I know about is what's happened since I've been on town council.
Okay,
Which is about 6 years,
right.
but before that, who knows what's happened here, records haven't been kept.
Right.
Well,
Or they're out of order.
Or they're out of order, yeah.
So we
Yeah,
finally
yeah.
found,
Usually when someone like, Wildflowers came in, they have to run their own water, so we have record of that.
Mhm.
And that's what we were talking about. Rather than going an 8-inch line, as was required, we put in 10-inch.
Right.
Paid the difference, just to increase the pressure to the main line. And then when, the other RV, I can't think, Airstream went in.
auto camp.
Auto camp, auto camp.
Adel here, when that
Yeah.
went in, they replaced the old line with a new, we required a new 8-inch line to go in. No, a new 10-inch line to go in there, so our 10-inch line fed into theirs.
Okay,
So I guess
So that's the only thing I know about that's happened.
I would think that it would be maybe a project for someone to note those on a plan so that we have a record of that.
well, one of the things that's my plan is the public works guys are going to use the GIS mapping system to map all that.
Talked about
Yes,
that.
that's the plan. That's the ultimate plan.
That would be great, okay. The other issue, was, I wonder if we should send out a little blip in the newsletter to let people know that just because they send in these requests for these projects, they're not necessarily going to be done right now or this year.
Okay,
And to let them know a little bit of maybe about the process of of what's happening with capital improvement committee.
so I'll
Meeting,
let,
just a little blurb so that,
I'll
because I've
let
had
Paul,
people.
I'll let Paul
say-
write a little thing on it.
April and I will write something,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
write it up, I'll have April
April,
work it
okay.
over, and we'll get it to you before the 25th.
Fifth,
thank you.
And then at some point, on some of these projects, it might not be a bad idea for us to, as a group, go on a field trip and take a look together, so everybody gets a chance to discuss it and
Yeah, for
Like
example, the
projects like-
by you.
these projects that are maybe coming up right away.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, I like all your suggestions,
Okay, thank
they're very good.
I drove down Pocketville Road just on those two new ones just to look at it.
The one we just had the plan for?
Yeah, the newest ones that came in,
Oh, the new ones that came in here, okay. All right. So,
but that's something we should do, yeah. I didn't look at the one over here where the asphalt's coming apart.
which one?
Marks.
Marks.
Oh, Mark Savvy's thing, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I haven't looked at any of the ones.
any of the new ones, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we need to come up with our next meeting date.
Are we trying to meet once a month? Is that what?
Well, I was not expecting us to meet once a month when
I
we
thought it was
created the
quarterly.
committee. That's kind of what I was thinking,
Mhm.
but I'm thinking that's not gonna work. Since we're trying to put this together
Yeah,
for the first time, I'm thinking that quarterly is not necessarily going to get us our 5-year plan in a timely manner. Yes, expeditious, there's the word I'm looking for.
At
So
least at first, I mean, it might turn into, where,
Eventually it will.
eventually it'll turn
Eventually,
into
once you get the first one down, the rest, it will be easy after that.
Oh, I've got my wrong phone to see what I have.
so you want to meet in May?
Yeah,
I'm good the first week, the 8th and 9th, and then after that,
You're gone?
second name.
second knee, oh my goodness. After the 8th and so you're available, what, May 8th or May 9th? And you said
Either one.
after that, you're having the surgery and you're out. Okay, unless you attend by Zoom, okay.
No.
No.
No, you don't even want me on Zoom
uh-huh.
the first few weeks.
So that's
Wait,
about
why?
it.
You'll be all grown up.
Yeah. Okay, so. Do either of those two, I can tell you right now, I don't have anything scheduled for either of
I
those
could
2
probably do the
days.
9th.
What do you have, Leroy? May 9th?
I have something at 7 p.m.
On the 9th?
on the 9th, but I'm free on the 8th.
Okay, I could probably make the 8th work.
Okay, what about you? Well, you already said the 8th works for you. Okay, so the only person we don't know is Wyatt. We would just say, this is what we said, see if he can show up. So let's say May 8th, and we've been setting them for 5 because that works for Wyatt to come from work, have a meeting, and then go home for dinner. So that's where the 5 p.m. came from. So we'll
Maybe
say,
he should have his dinner delivered so that he doesn't have to go home for tea.
well, Crystal said the other day that they were setting some meetings for me on my calendar and that they want me to provide lunch for all the staff. I said,
Okay.
oh,
If I have to work like 14 hour days, 15 hour days, I forgot there. She got me cooked on some jelly beans though, they're just got gone in the office, thanks, Gene.
So, May the 8th at 5 o'clock.
yes, 5 to, and I'm putting 5 to 7.
Okay.
So hopefully we're done by 7 o'clock. Which we're doing well tonight to be done by then. So I will look at what you put up.
Okay.
And I'll try to do my own analysis and, go. Maybe at that one we'll plan a field trip
And maybe in the meantime, we can get some bids.
for some of the, yes,
Yes.
for this and also a couple of other
There's a
projects.
couple small ones we could probably get.
Get some bids and then we can see if we can get them done next
And
year.
have the maintenance guys look at a few.
as well. All right, then I will take a motion to adjourn. From one of you,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
Want to find that, or,